Joining us now, Andria McClellan, again, candidate in Super Ward 6, Norfolk City Council, running against longtime incumbent Barclay Wynn. So, Andria McClellan, you ran for state senate in 2013, and you ran in the Democratic Firehouse primary against that Eastern Shore juggernaut, Linwood Lewis. You were defeated. You got 19%, if memory serves me correct. But I thought you ran a very spirited race, so and we appreciated that. Now you're running for City Council Ward 6 against, one of these entrenched, long time, been there forever incumbents with all the money. Why?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's exciting to be here in lovely Chesapeake this morning. My husband asked, why don't I take on an easy race? And I said, well, I want to run where I think I can really make the most impact. And I think this is an area where I can really serve the people of Norfolk in the best capacity. And honestly, I think right now folks are ready for change. I think the next generation needs to step up and be a part of that change. I'm the only candidate with kids in Norfolk Public Schools. I have 3 kids in Norfolk Public Schools next year. So I see what's going on there. I think we need to all focus on improving our schools in Norfolk. I'm concerned about improving our public safety as well. More community engagement needs to happen there. We need to be focused on our police force and other public safety officials. And quite honestly, I'm really concerned about our transparency and access to our government. I personally had an experience last summer where I delivered 1,250 petition signatures to Norfolk City Council and was told to sit down by the mayor because I had gone over my 3-minute limit. That was not televised, and we need to be televising the entirety of our Norfolk City Council meetings.
Heck yeah.
I don't understand why we're not. It doesn't cost the city anymore.
Well, it doesn't cost anything because part of the cable monopoly charter, right, is various cities get one of the cable channels for the monopoly that they have. That was the deal in order to put their stuff, televise it. And it's tough for people to get out to these council meetings and nobody covers it. So you have to put it on TV. Right. Chesapeake is on TV. Newport News is on TV. Hampton is on TV. Virginia Beach is on TV.
Well,
why is it Norfolk on TV?
Norfolk is on TV. So let me make that clear. And that's a good thing. And that's happened in the last couple of years. What they don't do, though, is that after the agenda items are covered, they cut off the cameras. So if you're a citizen who wants to come down and talk during the open portion or new business section about your specific concerns, that is not televised. And because this Better Together petition effort regarding our school board elections was not an agenda item because I couldn't get it on the agenda, the mayor did not want it on the agenda, it was a new business and it wasn't covered. And so, therefore, my expectation or understanding or belief, rather, is that, because they didn't want this seen by the public, it was cut off. I was cut off. I was asked to sit down. And our school board's elections, which will happen for the first time in Norfolk. Norfolk, by the way, was one of the last 10 municipalities in the state of Virginia to go to a school board election. The referendum passed in November of 2014 by over, I believe, 83% of the voters.
Right.
Then council had to make the decision, how are we going to elect these folks? And they decided on a vote of 5-3 to elect them on a ward-based system.
In lieu of at-large.
In lieu of at-large. And my opponent voted for the ward-based system. I was very concerned about that. I spoke against it. And then after that, I decided to step up and do something about it. Created a group called Better Together Norfolk with a variety of folks from throughout the entire city. And we asked the council to reconsider their decision. Do something like Virginia Beach does, a hybrid system where you have residency requirements, but you're elected on an at-large basis. Listen, my 3 kids, they're all going to be in citywide choice programs in Norfolk next year. They should not be represented by a ward system. I think if you are on city council, you should be elected by all of the citizens of Norfolk and not just, and as well, I also think you should be, if you're on the school board, you should be elected by all the citizens of Norfolk.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. We're with Andria McClellan. She's a city council candidate in Norfolk, Super Ward 6. What is that?
So we have, as we were talking about, a ward system here in Norfolk. We have 5 single wards, and then we have 2 super wards that overlay the single wards. And for 2016, those 2 super wards are up for election. Mine covers super wards 1, 2, and 5, and it represents half of the city. Sort of a semi-at-large vote.
So semi-at-large. So This is like a big deal.
It's a lot of doors to be knocked, let me tell you.
Okay, now listen, Andrea, let's just be honest with each other. You're taking on, a big money incumbent, all the developers giving him money, right? Parkley Wynn, he's been there forever. Other than this one vote that he had on ward system for the school board, what are the other differentiators between yourself and Parkley Wynn? Why are you attempting to oust him?
Well, listen, what I will tell you about Barkley, he's a nice guy. And I don't think that he's done anything particularly wrong. I'm just concerned that he hasn't done a whole lot in 16 years. And I think Norfolk is at a tipping point, and we need folks who've got energy, drive, relationships on a regional and statewide basis to get things done, and I have those. I mean, my track record, I've worked on several of organizations throughout the region and throughout the state, and I think bringing resources to bear for the city of Norfolk and our region is really important. You look at our flooding issues; those aren't going to be solved by Norfolk alone. That
Right.
takes regional cooperation and state and federal funding. You look at our schools; I think we can be learning more from the other school systems that surround us. You look at economic development. In Norfolk, 45% of our economy is tied to the federal government. If we don't start diversifying more actively, we're going to be in a heap of hurt and trouble. So we need to start working together better across the region. We haven't been doing that. We talk a lot about it. And I think one of the ways you do that is by introducing the next generation of leadership that's not parochial in nature and that can work with each other. One of the first folks that I called when I started considering this was Ben Davenport in Virginia Beach. He's the face of the new generation, new leadership. We should be working together cooperatively.
He overcame a lot of obstacles in order to win. We were very favorable to his candidacy. Although he's a Democrat, we thought that same thing in your race. You just, you got to get in these city council races. You just need new energy, new blood. Now, this would be my question to voters in Norfolk in Ward 6. You're going to have a new mayor come in, right? One of three, no matter who wins. You'd have to ask yourself, are you happy with the way Norfolk is headed now? And if you are, then you should probably vote for Wynn. But if you look at the level of crime, if you look at the fact that the entire school system is a disaster, when you look at the fact that they don't have enough revenue coming in, when you look at the fact that there's no real regional cooperation with some of the other cities. I mean, I live in Chesapeake. I don't live in Norfolk. But certainly if I was there, I would be looking for change.
Yeah, I mean, I think here's one of the issues. So my contemporaries, many of them, once their kids get to be school age, they're leaving. They're moving to Chesapeake and Virginia Beach. That's great for you guys.
Right.
That's bad for the future of Norfolk. My real estate values are negatively affected by our schools. Our ability to retain and attract new business are affected by our schools. So certainly schools are a big issue for me. Another differentiator, as I mentioned earlier, I am the only candidate with kids in our Norfolk public schools. I see firsthand what's happening. And by the way, it's not all bad. There's some really great things happening, and I believe in our schools, but there are a lot of things about which I'm concerned. And yes, we definitely need that next generation to step up. I have a background as an entrepreneur, a background in the technology arena. Those are the folks that we need to be recruiting to the city of Norfolk and to the region of Hampton Roads. And to have that entrepreneurial spirit and how we do things as a city is also important. I think we could take a lot of private sector applications and apply them in a public sector way. Mm-hmm. So, for example, my child, first week of school, Norfolk Public Schools this year, waiting for the bus for 20 minutes in the rain. The next day he missed the bus because it came 5 minutes early. Why, as a parent, don't we have the ability to check an app on our phone to figure out where our kids' school buses are? I can figure out where my Uber car is. Why can't we do that? And I actually did something about that. I went to Code for America, which is a local team of folks, sort of like the Peace Corps for technologists, who created an app like this in Boston for their schools, who recently created an app for HRT buses here in Hampton Roads. I set up a meeting with the COO of Norfolk Public Schools and the head of transportation to examine how can we work together. They were willing to do this for free, by the way. Here's the problem. We have no GPS in our school buses in Norfolk. And so it was cut off there. I'm not satisfied with that answer, but that's just one idea. I mean, code enforcement. What are we doing with code enforcement in the city of Norfolk? How could that be online and tracked online so you can see which house or which property has various code violations? And those are the sorts of things. I think open access to data and allowing entrepreneurs to come in and create private sector solutions for our public sector problems is a real big opportunity for us.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. So, Andrea, Kenny Alexander was on our show, I think Friday, running for mayor. And he said something that I thought was pretty interesting. He said that 62%, well, first of all, he said that 70% of schools in Norfolk are not accredited. They're failing, 70%, which is a stunning number. That's 7 out of 10. So it's pretty bad. And then he said that 62% of Norfolk school children, 62%, we even had to check this fact because we thought it was inaccurate, are getting a subsidized school lunch and breakfast. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you can't possibly succeed in an environment of this level of poverty in Norfolk. And he said, obviously there's so many issues. You can't create a school environment that makes any sense. And he talked about the government going in and trying to do family intervention. Some people called up and said, oh, that's, too much government. But look, I'm in favor of any idea to solve the problem. And so I had a bunch of Tea Party people call me up all upset over that. And I'm like, look, do you have a solution? Do you have one?
I do. I mean, my solution is we need better, more strategic community engagement. I read at PB Young Elementary. I also chair the Open Campus Advisory Board where we're bringing kids who've dropped out back in to get their full high school diplomas. I'm seeing what's going on there. And what I'd like to see is folks, individuals, organizations, and businesses in a strategic way going into helping in the classroom. During the day, before the school day, after the school day, on the weekends. These kids are going home to pretty bad situations. Kenny's right. To the extent that we can help and keep them in a positive environment with folks who care about what's going on, I think that would help quite a bit and not be a very costly exercise for the city of Norfolk as well. My mom is 73. God love her. She's helped me for many years with my kids. My kids don't need her as much anymore. Let's have a senior corps that's organized and trained in our Norfolk public schools.
Andrea, I've got 1 minute. In that time, tell our listeners who are in Norfolk that are in your ward, Ward 6, why they should vote for Andria McClellan on May 3rd.
Well, I am running for Norfolk City Council because I want to ensure a better future for my kids and for all the families of Norfolk and all the citizens of Norfolk. I want my kids someday to come back and raise their own families and do business in Norfolk. And I think I've got the passion, the vision, the relationships, as I said, regionally, and the ability to get things done for the city in a way that hasn't been done in quite some time, other than maybe through our strong mayor that's been there for over 20 years. And I think I'll be a good complement to the new mayor, whomever that will be.
All right. If people want more info, they want to get involved in your campaign for change. Like I said, if you're happy with everything that's going on there, you would probably vote to reelect Wynn. If you want change, then your choice is right here. How do people get engaged with your campaign?
So our website is Andria for Norfolk, ANDRIAFOR, Norfolk.com. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/Andria for Norfolk. My Twitter handle is at Andria McClellan, ANDRIA MCCLELLAN. We'd love to get folks involved. We've got a great volunteer group right now. April 3rd is my office opening.
All right, April 3rd is your office opening. Hopefully we'll get an invitation to that. This is the John Fredericks Radio Network. I want to thank Andria McClellan for being with us.